friends, so welcome to Ivy's Fortress. I'm Ashante, a reading friend, and we have Dear Librarian by Lydia M. Sigwarth and illustrated by Romina Galotta or Galotta. And if I'm saying your names, author and illustrator, incorrectly, then I do apologize. But we're going to continue reading because mistakes like that happen. And in order to learn how to read, we have to make those mistakes, right? So let's keep on reading. I already have my reading glasses on. We're outside today. You're going to hear some noise in the background, cars, dogs, neighborhood stuff. So let's go ahead. Dear Librarian, when I didn't have a home, you made one for me, cozy and safe, filled with magical books and warm sunlight. Thank you for your stories and your kindness. Thank you for being my friend. First featured on the critically acclaimed radio show This American Life, this is Lydia M. Sigwarth's true story about the challenges of homelessness, the magic of friendship, and the power of empathy. That gives me chills just reading it, because when I become an entrepreneurial librarian and I get to talk to kids and read stories all day long and collect work so kids can find their story that matches their lifestyle and their needs, spiritual, mental, physical, whatever the case is, I want to be there for kids everywhere to encourage story time, to encourage creative practices, because books like this are what brings us together. So let's get reading, because you know I can talk. All right. So this is a foreword, which is like an intro letter to the reader or the audience of the book to learn more about the book or learn more about the author illustrator. It's called a foreword. Some people call it a preface. It's just a letter to the reader. So I'm going to read it to you. Hello, reader. I make a radio show. We do stories about all sorts of people. One of our producers, Stephanie Fu, loves libraries so much that she made a story for the radio about someone named Lydia. Lydia has a pretty life-changing experience in the library, and we told our listeners they went wild for it. Bananas. You get the idea. They really liked it. Afterward, Lydia wrote her own version of the story, and that's the book you're holding in your hands. I think I need to mention here that like Lydia and Stephanie, I am also a massive, hardcore, nonstop, colossal library fan. When I was little, on one of my regular trips to the Baltimore County Public Library, I discovered there were books that teach magic tricks. That totally blew my mind. These incredible secrets were just sitting on a shelf for anyone to learn, for absolutely free. I started performing magic shows, like for money, real money. I did this for years. It taught me how to speak in front of a crowd and all sorts of other skills I use on the radio every week. Also, I can still make a coin vanish. Here, watch this. Okay, it's gone. Maybe you didn't see that. I swear, in between writing down these words, I really made it disappear. If you and I meet someday, I'll do it for you in person. Till then, I hope you like Lydia's story as much as our listeners did. Ira Glass, host and executive producer of This American Life. Well, once again, got some chills from that, or it just may be extremely cold outside and I haven't noticed yet. But I really love when people can admire and appreciate the place of libraries in their community. It's a great place for children, it's a great place for learning, and it's a great place to gain information you may not have had if you would have tried to search for it on your own. So, librarians are extremely helpful people, and I encourage you to interact with them someday. And also, a note to librarians, engage with your community. Talk to the children. Read story time outside of programs and outreach. Well, once again, me blabbing at the mouth. Let's get reading. Dear Librarian by Lydia M. Sigwarth and Romina Galotta. This is a Farrar, Straus, Giroux published book. Dear Librarian, may I tell you a story? It's about me, and it's about you, and it's about my library home. It happened when I was 5 years old. Me and my mom and my dad and my 5 big sisters and 1 baby brother all had to leave Colorado and go to Iowa, where Grandma was. My dad needed a new job, and we needed a new place to live. Now leaving Colorado. Drive safely. It's a bit windy out here, so the pages may not stay flat. In Iowa, I miss my little blue home with a big maple tree. I miss my red roller skates packed away in the big truck. I miss my sunny backyard with lots of space to run and play. I miss my best friend, little Becca. But most of all, I missed having a home. In Iowa, I didn't have a home to live in, just houses. 5 big sisters and 1 baby brother and a mom and a dad are a lot of people, so we lived in a lot of different places. Some days we lived at Aunt Linda's house. Aunt Linda had a pretty pink bathtub for fancy bubble baths. But Aunt Linda's house was full of nice things. Nice things you shouldn't touch because they aren't yours. Some days we lived at Cousin Alice's house. Cousin Alice had her own family to take care of, but she let us sleep in her tiny, cozy basement. In Cousin Alice's basement, there was a big couch and bouncy mattresses. Every night was a giant sister sleepover. But even a snuggly sleepover was a little too crowded for all of us. Move over. You're hogging the blanket. That's my spot. I don't have sisters. I have 1 brother, so I can only imagine how challenging it could be with all those girls in one place. Come on, Paige, turn for me. There we go. Some days we stayed at Grandma's house. Grandma lived right by a park with swings and space to run and spin, but there weren't any friends at Grandma's park. Mom said it was very generous of everyone to let us live at their houses, but Grandma's house was too small, Aunt Linda's house was too nice, and Cousin Alice's house was already had a family. Nowhere was home. Nowhere had a special spot just for me. Then one day, Mom took me and my 5 big sisters and 1 baby brother to a new place. Not a house, but a big building with some columns and tall, tall steps. The library. There was a sunny window that took up a whole wall. There were rows and rows of books and baskets of toys and a puppet theater. There was so much to do and so much space to do it in. At the window, I could watch people on the street, or I could skip down the rows of books with my brother, or I could make up stories with my sisters. There was enough space at the library for all of us. Then I found a special spot just for me. Up the tall stairs across from the sunny window was a round desk. It was my favorite spot because behind that desk was my new friend. She had kind eyes, a gentle face, and a laugh like bubbles. That friend was a librarian, and that librarian was you. You looked me right in the eyes and listened to me like I was a grown-up. You helped me find a book about princesses, and then you sat down on the floor to read it to me. After that, Mom and Dad brought me to the library all the time. Every day you gave me a hug, and every day you made me feel safe and happy. Those days, the library was like a home, my own special home, even though it wasn't about a house. Later that year, my mom and dad and my 5 big sisters and 1 baby brother all went to live in a big brown home with a tall willow tree. I could zoom around in my red roller skates again. But I still visited my library home to be in my favorite spot and read books, and to be home with you, my library friend. Now, my dear librarian, I'm a grown-up, but I still go to the library every day. Because I'm a librarian, just like you. You gave me a library home, so I wanted to make one too. For kids with little blue homes, and big brown homes, and no homes at all. So I did. The end. And sometimes books have an afterword, which is a letter to the reader or audience to talk about whatever they want to talk about. So let's read that one. Dear reader, this book is based on what really happened to my parents, my siblings, and me when I was a little girl. For 6 months, my family stayed with various loved ones while we were homeless and looking for our own place to live. Homelessness affects around 2.5 million children every year. Many go years without experiencing a stable home life. Each child faces different challenges. Each child has their own individual story. My experience was unique to me alone. I am now a children's librarian in Wisconsin. In 2018, with the help of the radio show This American Life, I reunited with the librarian I wrote in this book, Deb Stephenson. I thanked her for inspiring me, and it was truly one of the most amazing experiences of my life. Maybe there is a librarian in your life who has inspired you too. If so, tell them, and maybe give them some chocolate. We usually like chocolate. If you would like to learn more about libraries and the work librarians do, please visit the American Library Association at ala.org. Happy reading by Lydia Sigwarth. So this is Lydia, our author at age 5. She was the one that had the story with the sisters, and she was our main character who turned into a librarian. And this is our author and a librarian she wrote about in November 2018. So a little bit more about our author and illustrator. Lydia M. Sigwarth is an author and children's librarian in Wisconsin. Being a librarian has been her dream job since she was a small child. Well, either that or time-traveling girl detective ballerina. Lydia lives in Platteville, Wisconsin with her fluffy puppy, Agatha. In her spare time, she reads, plays ukulele, and watches posh British mystery shows. Her absolute favorite thing to do is talk books with budding bookworms. Dear Librarian is her debut picture book. You can find her online at Library Lydia. That's a cute name. Yeah. So I had a very similar experience with libraries and a librarian. I always felt connected to librarians because everywhere I went, they were always eager to learn or connect to me in a very unique manner, which was how they felt was the right way to communicate with me. We would talk about books, we would talk about stories, we would talk about real life events, and it would carry on and on after every single visit, and I would always look forward to go back, even in my school libraries. And sometimes we don't have as much access to the libraries as we would like to, because as children, we're kind of left at our parents' will. And sometimes we have to encourage our parents to go to the library too. And I can almost guarantee that most parents would want to see their kids in the library. So if you can, ask your parents to take you to the library and go on your next adventure. Find your next story time that'll make you want to read again and again, because reading is such a pleasant activity. So, dear librarian and librarians across the nation and world, we thank you as readers, we thank you as storytellers, and we thank you so much because you are really lights in our community. Pillars that keep us strong and uplifted as days turn in and out, upside down, and loop-de-loop. So, thank you once again, and I hope I catch you next time, readers. Bye! We truly enjoy sharing our adventures with you here at Ivy's Fortress. If you do too, like our videos and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Well, what are you doing? It is your choice, but we'll race you there. Bye!